Welcome back to The Explainer. Look, today we're jumping straight into a recent, honestly mind-blowing experiment that completely shatters everything we thought we knew about what AI can do right now. If you've been telling yourself, hey, AI agents are just hype, we won't really have to deal with this until the 2030s, well, it is time to update that mental model. We're going to break down a massive shift in the AI landscape, looking at some staggering new data and a wild internal experiment from one of the top AI labs in the world. Let's just dive right in.
Real money, real deals, and the AI close them. Now that sounds like a line from a sci-fi movie, right? But it's not. This details exactly what just happened inside Anthropic's San Francisco office. Anthropic, the company behind the Claude AI model, well, they decided to run a pretty bold experiment. They didn't put their AI in some safe, simulated sandbox. No way. They let it loose in a real marketplace. Okay, let's really dive into this. They called it Project Deal. Basically, they built an internal marketplace right there in their office, and every participating employee got an AI agent powered by Claude to act entirely on their behalf. The humans literally just set the high-level goals. They'd say something like, hey, I want to buy this specific item, or sell this for a certain margin. And then, the agents just figured out the rest. They set their own prices, negotiated counteroffers with other agents, and autonomously closed the transactions using actual money. They weren't just suggesting trades to a human, they were actively closing them without a human in the loop for every individual micro-decision.
Now, as crazy as that sounds, our source is very careful to clarify what this actually represents. This was a controlled research milestone. It was not a public product launch. Anthropic's engineers designed the environment, and let's be real-world markets are incredibly messy. They're packed with adversarial actors, heavy regulatory red tape, and weird edge cases that a controlled office experiment just doesn't account for. Anthropic themselves were totally upfront about these limits. But still, even with those caveats, the trajectory this experiment reveals, it's completely undeniable.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that we are crossing a massive threshold. We are moving from the era of AI as a tool to the era of AI as a colleague. Think about it. A tool is something operated by you. You click the buttons, you type the prompts, you steer the ship. But a colleague operates for you. You hand over a high-level objective and it executes all those multi-step workflows to actually get it done. This is a fundamental operational shift. It's really the core of what we're unpacking today.
Let's look at the data behind the shift and validate this agentic era.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what's happening beneath the surface. The Stanford 2026 AI Index benchmarked AI agent performance on real-world computer tasks. We're talking things like opening specific software, finding a file, completing a multi-step workflow, basically the kind of digital chores you might hand off to an intern. Look at this trajectory. In 2024, AI agents scored a measly 12%. For all intents and purposes, they were just toys. But fast forward to the projection for 2026, that number rockets up to 66%. In just 2 short years, we're seeing an evolution from novel toys to highly capable operators. That curve is incredibly steep. So let's zoom out to the wider tech ecosystem to see how this is really building momentum. Because it's not just Stanford making projections. The biggest players in the world are aggressively shipping production-grade agentic infrastructure right now. OpenAI recently launched workspace agents for autonomous task execution across your files, your calendar, and your integrated apps. At the exact same time, Google rolled out a fleet of AI research agents powered by their Gemini 3.1 Pro model. The infrastructure needed to support that 66% capability, it's being pushed out to millions of users right as we speak. Now, what's really wild is this staggering number, 97 million. So what is that? That is the number of installs in the month of March alone for Anthropic's Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Why does that matter to us? Well, MCP is the underlying standard that actually lets these AI agents connect to external tools. Think of it as the digital connective tissue. Hitting 97 million installs in a single month, that emphasizes that the foundational plumbing for this whole agentic economy is being laid down at a speed we've literally never seen before. Which brings us to how the financial sector views this timeline. Morgan Stanley is now publicly projecting, and I quote, a massive AI breakthrough in the first half of 2026. Our source uses this to anchor the urgency of this explainer. We are not talking about some vague sci-fi future in the 2030s. The agentic shift is a 2026 reality. Capable models, the necessary software infrastructure, and massive, fast-flowing capital are all perfectly aligning right now. So let's get into 3 specific business agent plays, what you should actually be looking to build this quarter.
Play number 1, customer support agents. According to the source, this specific application offers the absolute fastest financial payback in the entire AI economy right now. Doesn't matter if you're in SaaS, e-commerce, B2B, whatever, customer support is for sure the most immediate place to see a massive return on an AI investment.
A properly deployed support agent is considered the most de-risked entry point out there. The source notes that a well-tuned agent can handle between 50 to 70% of all inbound tickets without requiring a single human escalation. Think about that. The vast majority of your routine, everyday customer interactions are resolved completely autonomously. That frees up your human team to handle only those highly complex edge case scenarios that actually require real human empathy and deep problem solving.
Moving on to play number 2, sales prospecting agents. Honestly, this is where things get truly disruptive for traditional corporate structures. The source makes a fascinating point. The standard sales development representative, the classic SDR role as we knew it even just 3 years ago, is completely dissolving.
Today, off-the-shelf tools can research target accounts, draft highly personalized outbound messages based on that specific research, follow up autonomously over multiple days or weeks, and literally book meetings directly onto a calendar. The source highlights that companies who are adapting to these sales agents are seeing 4 to 5 times the sales pipeline, all at a fraction of the traditional cost. The efficiency gains here are just off the charts.
Finally, we have play 3, internal operations agents. This targets what the source calls the silent killers of mid-market companies. You know the ones: routine reporting, endless compliance checks, massive document processing, and internal knowledge retrieval. Basically, the necessary but incredibly time-consuming, mind-numbing tasks that really bog down your top human talent.
The source estimates that every single business has 5 to 10% of its total headcount tied up in this kind of manual operational work. And this is work that could now be handled by an MCP-connected agent in a fraction of the time. To put this into perspective, the source shares a wild fact. Jack Dorsey's company, Block, actually built this kind of internal operational agent system and subsequently laid off 4,000 people. Yeah, 4,000. It's a really stark reminder of how rapidly this technology reshapes the workforce.
Now let's talk about guardrails and security risks, because you definitely need to proceed with caution here. The source heavily emphasizes 2 absolutely critical cautions. First off, you must never ever deploy agents that can take consequential financial actions without a strict human approval gate. Even OpenAI's specific workspace products have mandatory approval configurations for sensitive actions, and that's for a very good reason. Second, agents are still highly vulnerable to prompt injection attacks, which is when bad actors try to trick the AI into ignoring its instructions, along with just unexpected edge cases. The strong advice here is to proceed carefully and only work with partners or internal hires who deeply, truly understand these specific cybersecurity vulnerabilities.
Next up, let's take a look at the source implementation offerings for an impartial breakdown of available services. So the source actually operates an agency called First Movers AI, and they offer a few different consulting tiers. We're just impartially reporting what they've laid out here. They have a growth tier at $60,000 that focuses specifically on marketing and sales automation using these agentic workflows. For companies looking for a full operational rebuild, they offer a liberation tier priced at $120,000. And for individuals or smaller operators who want more of a DIY approach, they have a pre-labs bootcamp. That's 3 sessions for $150, designed to help you build and deploy your very first working agent. We're showing you this because it really demonstrates the real-world commercial ecosystem that's springing up around this exact technology right now.
And, well, that brings us to the end of today's explainer. We've seen Anthropic's agents closing actual real money deals, we've analyzed the Stanford data that totally validates this shift, and we've walked through the immediate business plays along with the very necessary guardrails. The infrastructure is here, guys, and as Morgan Stanley projects, this massive breakthrough is a 2026 reality. It's honestly no longer a question of if the agentic shift will disrupt the market, but when it hits your specific industry. So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder today. The autonomous transition is a 2026 reality. Are you moving first